Hello and good morning, everyone. My name's Joanne, and I am so excited to be with all of you today for Wake Up Legendary. We did have a very last minute change in our guests. Our original guest, unfortunately, is under the weather. I hope she feels better, and we will definitely have her on in a future episode as our guest. But I'm super excited to bring you our last minute surprise awesome guest. His name is Drew. If you've been in our community for a period of time, you know he is one of our coaches here with Wake Up Legendary. But he's also an affiliate. He's been in the online space for quite some time. And it has a really cool story. He was actually a lawyer beforehand. So let me bring him on, and he can share his own story with you. So welcome, Drew, to the show.
Hey,
Hello.
Joanne. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, it definitely was meant to be because you did have a coaching call with one of our members at this time and they canceled. And within minutes, I reached out and asked if you could hop on, and here we are.
Exactly. Even those last minute schedules, that time always gets filled one way or another.
Right? I love it. All right. So we know you are a coach here with Legendary, but share with all of us your backstory, how you even decided to ultimately leave law and move online.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm kind of, I've got a weird backstory to begin with because I think I mentioned this to you before. I consider myself sort of a chameleon in this marketing space too, because I've worked in almost any field, every single field you can imagine,
Right.
because of just how my brain works. Like I get bored easily. So I'll work on something really hard for like 2 years or so. And once I've mastered it, if I don't see the room for growth, I'm on to the next thing, looking for something else to learn or to grow from. And law was kind of one of those things. I actually started in law enforcement. So my college degree was in criminal justice. I have a master's degree that was in threat assessment and risk management. And I was working as a police officer in Massachusetts. I did that for about 3.5 years, including while I was in law school. And I graduated law school, took the bar exam in Massachusetts and Connecticut. It was 3 days of testing, 8 hours all 3 days. It was a nightmare. But it's absolutely true. If you talk to lawyers, they never know more law than the day after the bar exam. Because that's exactly what we're trained to do, is take that big ass test.
Right.
So I got into law. I actually started with defense law, which was interesting because I had been on the other side of the table as a police officer. But I looked at it as a way for me to sort of help cops do their jobs better, right? Like if they do their job right the first time, that person doesn't get off.
Right.
So that was basically my focus, was primarily criminal defense law. I did end up getting my real estate broker license as well. I was already a real estate agent, but in Massachusetts, as soon as you pass the bar exam, they give you your broker's license. So they're like, basically you have to know 20 times as much law to pass the bar exam as you do to pass the broker's exam. So they just hand you the license. You pay them the fees and they hand you the license. So I decided to open up my own real estate agency too. And I was doing law and real estate, working all the time, like 60 to 70 hours a week. My office was over an hour away from my house, which wasn't fun either. And it's kind of a similar story that you hear from a lot of us that are super ambitious and overwork ourselves like that. My body started shutting down.
Yep.
So it got to the point where I was just neglecting myself. I wasn't eating when I should have been. I wasn't exercising as much as I should have been. I wasn't sleeping enough. And I actually got to the point where I would just pass out.
Wow.
Like I could feel my body shutting down. And sometimes I would sit down on the ground and just be like, oh, here it comes. And I would just black out. And we had no idea what it was. Like it was super stressful time for my wife and I. And I ended up going to doctors. I spent whatever, $10,000, $15,000 on diagnostics, stress tests, heart scans, brain scans. And they're like, we don't know what the hell's wrong with you. So we're just going to have you take a back seat, you know, slow down a little bit. And that was when I started looking online. I'm like, I need to do something where I'm not working as hard. I'm not pushing myself so much. Maybe if I can create some income online, I can get rid of some of this other stuff.
Right.
And that was really the biggest catalyst, was just kind of pushing me. Health reasons is what pushed me into looking for that. But it all came down to just kind of time and freedom, really. It wasn't money like people are. I made a lot of money. You know, I just didn't have a life or time to enjoy it.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, even if they hate their job, or no matter what, if you can't enjoy life, you can't spend the time that you want with your loved ones. Is it really worth it? Is that the life we want?
Exactly. You're just living to work.
Yeah, it's awful. Daniel says, why do I feel that way at 20 years old?
Well, that's the thing. I was an attorney at 26. You know, wow. I left that practice at 29. Right. So like I did all of these realizations really early. That's part of why I kind of prefaced everything by just saying I'm one of those overachiever, ambitious types of people. So that's just how my mind works. You know, like I'm all in on anything that I try.
So we're looking online and you start poking around. Did you go all in because of your personality? How did that start?
Yeah. So I did all kinds of things at once, which it's not smart, but it's what I did. So I bought like 3 different training courses all at the same time. One in affiliate marketing, one in like consulting, and one that was life coach training.
Yeah.
I ended up finishing all of them, but not all at once, because that's not the way our brains work. So you do have to kind of piecemeal it, or do one and then the other and then the third. So I actually started where I finished the life coaching certification first, because that was something that came more naturally to me. I had already been running a real estate agency, and I was like sort of a mentor already. I had done speeches and things like that. Because of my medical background, I used to do speeches for childhood cancer centers and things like that to try and motivate people a little bit, show them there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that type of deal.
Yeah.
So like life coaching was an easy transition for me.
Right.
But the hard part was selling it. So like I could do the in-person things. I could go to a meetup group. I could go to an event, and I could sell my coaching by having one-on-one conversations with people. But that wasn't giving me the ability to work remotely or control my time anymore, because I had to go out hunting clients. You know, so it was kind of the desire to learn this digital marketing thing is what pushed me more towards affiliate marketing. But I also still had my real estate agency. Even after I left law and started working from home, I kept the real estate office open, and I learned how to generate traffic online and just gave out leads to my agents that worked for me.
Right. So I hope everyone that's listening is really hearing what he's saying. So he's learning online marketing skills, and he took those and applied it to his real estate business. These skills can be applied everywhere, which is what I want to stress and make sure everyone understands and really realizes that these skills just can't be taken away from you, and they are needed across the board in every type of business and everywhere, right?
Absolutely, 100%. That's one of the biggest things that has kept me here for so long. This is the longest lasting like career path that I've ever been on. I've been in this digital marketing space for like 8.5 years now.
Wow.
Where previously every role was 2 to 3 years. Even an attorney, I lasted less than 3 years. And I went to school for 3 years in order to do that, you know? So this is something, because of the infinite possibility here, the ever-changing and ever-evolving landscape. Like there's always new tools, new strategies, new systems, even things like TikTok. Like that didn't exist 2 years ago, you know? And now it's like the #1 traffic source for short form content online. So it's amazing how things can evolve like that, but
Mm-hmm.
there's never a dull moment in this
That's
space.
what I love
really.
about it too. Do you remember when it was all about really long, long videos, not like the short little clips? And now it's like we're getting to these like 7 seconds, 15 seconds.
Even like 5 or 6 years ago, everything was written. You know, like
Right?
even on Facebook, it's like, oh, write your story. That
Right.
even worked up until a few years ago.
Long
But it was
post.
like these 1,500 to 2,000 word stories where you just scroll through text forever. And that was the best way to convert something online, was to write this massive story and just pay to promote it in front of people.
Right. And
That was like the only way to get traffic, was to pay for it back then.
That's what I think is, I think that's really what I like about this space also, is it is always changing. You're doing the same thing, but you're not. There's always something more to learn. There's always something to try, to test, which you and I always stress on our coaching calls every week with Ryan, is test, test, test. And it doesn't mean, we're not saying change what you're doing. We're not saying leave digital marketing or change your offer, just change how you're.
Subtle tweaks and iterations. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Perfect. Kelly says blogging. Remember when blogging was?
Oh yeah, I still have a blog actually. I don't post on it nearly as often as I used to, but it's something I probably put up a post every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it still works. It's just so much slower than everything else that's available right now.
And who knows, maybe a new way will come out and that will come back and you'll be ready to go with some small
with AI. With AI nowadays, you can just punch in a couple prompts and Chat GPT will write a blog post for you.
Right.
I think that might help bring it back.
Okay, so you found the online space. You were a life coach. But then we realized, if I
needed to learn marketing.
We needed to learn marketing because we couldn't sell ourselves as a coach, and you needed to get online. So we went a little further down the online space, and then you realized, hey, I got a lot more time if I do this affiliate thing. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so the affiliate marketing thing, that was sort of something that I did go all in on. The other stuff like this consulting, life coaching, whatever, I was kind of dabbling in just to see what was available and kind of putting myself into it a little bit, but not so much that I couldn't just withdraw from it and not have any negative effects, you know? So this affiliate marketing thing, when I first started actually seeing what was possible with it, it completely blew my mind. And I did all my research to find like what's the best way to learn. Obviously, learning from somebody who's already done it is the best shortcut there. So I was researching different companies to find out who can teach me this type of thing. Where can I learn it from? Unfortunately, Legendary wasn't around at that point, so I had to find something else. So I partnered with a different business education type of company, and their products were really high ticket. So they had some low level products, but the higher level courses went all the way up to 50 grand. I think altogether I bought like 5 or 6 different courses from them. I probably spent $40,000 on my training.
Wow. And then you told me right before, what happened overnight?
Oh yeah. So that was like 3 years later.
Okay.
I actually did really well with that company. I was able to make a lot of money in my commissions where I was selling those high ticket products. I did all of the training and everything. It seemed to work, but they even had live events and things on top of it, which made it easy. So I ended up getting hired with them as a coach so that I was an affiliate, and I was teaching people what I was doing as an affiliate marketer. So I felt like I was kind of double dipping. Which was interesting. Like, I'm like, oh, this is allowed. I can do this. Like, I can sell something on the phone and then get paid commission for selling and commission because it's my lead.
Right.
And I did really well with that for a couple years. Then, like you just mentioned, they disappeared. Like overnight, that company shut down. And that was in June of 2018.
Wow.
I still remember I had $90,000 in sales in the first 5 months of June. And I never got paid for it.
You never got paid.
Obviously. No.
Right.
And it actually was a lot worse than that. The FTC got involved, which is why they got shut down, the Federal Trade Commission, for those of you guys that don't know what FTC is. So the FTC got involved. They shut down all of the websites this company had. They seized 2 of their resorts. They had a resort they did live training at in Costa Rica and in Fiji, where they forced them to sell that to like pay back members and everything. But I lost my Google account that I had been using for my marketing. I had a Google Workspace, like a business account. So I lost 2 of my domains. I lost my Gmail account. I lost my YouTube, my Google Drive with like 15 gigabytes worth of stuff inside of it. All of my promo materials, emails, videos, everything like that just gone because the government took it for evidence or whatever. And then they clawed money back out of my account too that I had made in the 2 weeks before they got shut down. So it was this whole big mess right at the end there, where I basically went from making like $40,000 a month to nothing overnight. And then you have to start over from scratch again. But that's another thing where you mentioned this just a few minutes ago. Once you learn these skills, nobody can take that away from you. So like, yes, they took all of my online presence. Essentially, they wiped me out online. And they clawed back like 40 grand from me, which I will never see again. But I still had the skills and the resourcefulness to do what I needed to do to get back on my feet. So I started an agency actually at that point where I was running ads for other businesses. And I was running ads for businesses in places that I don't live. So I live in Connecticut. I've been in Connecticut for the last 8 or 9 years. I was in Massachusetts before that. But my target market for running ads was HVAC technicians. So I had worked a lot with chiropractors previously, and I wanted to do that, but I thought it was too saturated at the time. So I was like, let me just try to follow up with these HVAC guys. And there's not a big market for that in Connecticut. It's too cold up here for that. So I was running ads in Florida and Arizona for HVAC technicians. I was generating leads. They were paying me for that and everything. And that was the easiest way for me to get back up to making enough money to actually pay my bills. It still took probably 6 or 7 months for me to get back up to where I was comfortable. And in the meantime, I was freelancing, digital freelancing, Upwork, Fiverr, Elance. Like, hey, do you need a funnel? You need ads set up? You need an email campaign? Let me sell my skill. Exactly.
That's what's beautiful about this space is you just can apply it anywhere in any way possible. If you really wanted, even though we always are like, you can freelance, start your own business, do your own thing. You can go be an employee. You can go apply for a job in marketing and get it because you now have those skills, So it's no matter overcoming adversity, overcoming issues, even everyone that's watching right now, at some point, you're probably going to have a TikTok channel taken down. At some point, something is going to happen in your business, but you get to wake up.
It's inevitable.
And do it again and start over and pivot and do it a different way the next day.
That's actually something I talked about last week in Marketers Club.
Perfect.
How working on yourself can help you make more commissions, basically.
So Drew is also our coach for Marketers Club. That's a monthly membership where he goes live on Mondays. Anyone can join, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're just in the challenge, finish the challenge, starting the challenge, in blueprints, whatever you want to do. If you want that Monday live action with Drew and all those recordings, we have Marketers Club that's been here. That's just a monthly, $30 a month, I think it is.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it too. If you consider how much value you get there, a couple 100 hours worth of trainings just from my webinars alone. Plus we have clips from previous mastermind events.
I think I calculated it's like there's like 11,000 hours worth of training in Marketers Club. Of recordings you could go watch.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, it's something wild like that. It's
So if you can't find what you need in there, then maybe move to a different space.
So with Legendary, were you an affiliate for Legendary first, or did you become a coach? Because you were here before I had started. So I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I've been with Legendary for about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I started as, I don't know what you would even call it. So we used to have this offer called Brand Builder, which was like a done for you product where Legendary would do everything, build funnels, set up emails, run ad campaigns. I was the dude behind the scenes. I got hired to build everything, where they were just like, here's the resources. You build the funnel, you build the email campaign, you set up the Facebook ads, run them for the first week, give people feedback, all of that good stuff. So I wasn't an affiliate for Legendary before I started. I hadn't even been through any of the training. I was kind of headhunted for that role to do the fulfillment on the back end.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Once I started doing that was when I actually signed up to go through all of Legendary's training. Where I'm like, I'm building this stuff on the back end. I want to know like more about this business, how it started, what we're teaching people, all of that good stuff. And I did that for a while till they got rid of Brand Builder. And then I actually transitioned to an advisor. I was a BPA here for not very long, maybe 6 months altogether, until they decided we were going to offer one-on-one coaching. And then I moved into that.
Yeah.
So
perfect, which is a great fit. And you and Ryan head up our live coaching calls that our Blueprints members get Monday through Friday, 2 hours each day, which is awesome. And Karen, Drew's schedule is, he always has time for a one-on-one. Towards the end of the challenge, I think on day 7.
Yeah, I think it's day 7, the marketing strategy sessions in there.
There is a link to the marketing strategy sessions that you can book there to get on with Drew or Ryan. But yeah, what a journey, man. Yeah,
it's a crazy one, but it's something that's absolutely, I wouldn't change in any way. Even any of the hardships that I went through, it's made me a better marketer, I think, because then you're not just living at the top, like you have to go through these ups and downs. You have to know how to overcome obstacles, how to really like develop this emotional resilience almost, like this kind of growth mindset that we stick with the whole time. In order to actually be successful, that's one of the best gifts you can have for an entrepreneur is resourcefulness and just your kind of mental strengths,
Yeah, it's just getting into that space of walking away isn't an option. Problem solving is.
Exactly. I used to use that Cortez story. I know you've probably heard this a bunch of times too, but just in a nutshell, when Cortez made it to the New World, there were a lot of his followers that were skeptical about whether or not they would make it or it was what they wanted it to be. So his response to those people was to turn around and burn all of their boats. Like where you're not going home now. There's no chance, right? You're going to make it here or you're going to die trying. And luckily, like we don't have those types of parameters here. It's not like you're going to make money as an affiliate or you're going to die. But it is something you need to be fully committed, because if you have that backup plan just like waiting there for you, sometimes it's enough to hold you back from not doing what you need to do in order to be successful, to like take those risks.
Right. Well, and that's where mindset comes in. You start finding excuses. If fear is amazing. It's so amazing. It will find in any situation a reason why you should quit.
Right.
Always. I can look at a situation and someone else with a different mindset will look at the same one and tell me 5 reasons why we should walk. And I'll be like, oh, I see 10 why we should stay. The exact same way.
And that's exactly why you would be successful in that venture and they would not, because of their filters that they have on reality.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and those that are new to the challenge and all that, we're definitely not promoting go burn the boats. No, you don't need to go.
If you have a job today,
don't quit my job today. But it's just start changing your mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's also a beautiful place to be, knowing you're in a 9 to 5 still, but you don't have to stay there. You're choosing to stay, whether feeling stuck. That's a different mindset also.
Absolutely. I remember that with my real estate office, even going in there, even towards the end, where I was the managing broker, or I was the broker of record. Sorry, I had another broker that I put in charge to manage the office. So I just stopped in monthly to like talk to people and do whatever admin upkeep type things. But even walking in there after I had matched or exceeded my take home in my online business, I was still going into the office every month.
Right.
But it changes everything when you get in there. You know, I'm incredibly grateful to have had another income that was steady and reliable while I was building my online business. Because if you don't have another income, it can be incredibly stressful.
Right.
So that was sort of what you were just saying. If you have a job, keep it and kind of make that transition. Don't necessarily go all in unless you
are ready to.
Not like a person. I mean, you can.
Right. But ultimately, what we want to stress this morning is just keep learning the skills. That is what opens more doors. And you don't even see those doors until you take that next step. Once you learn more, all of a sudden I would like, oh, I would find myself going down this path a little bit more, committing further to it in the online space. And like, oh, I have another opportunity. Oh, crap. I got another opportunity. I got another door. Oh, I could do this now. I met these people. I've been exposed to this. And it just evolves on its own almost.
It can almost start going the other way, where you start seeing there's too many possibilities or opportunities and it gets overwhelming. Like, what's the right one?
Right.
You know, where do I start? I think that's an issue that I hear from a lot of people starting in this affiliate space specifically, where they're like, everybody needs to know about affiliate marketing. You know, everybody can benefit from this. So how do I choose just one target audience to talk to?
Right. Yeah, that is a big problem that we hear, but it's like, you've got to definitely dial it into an audience.
You got to start somewhere. You can always add more later on, but you got to start somewhere.
One offer, one audience, and go until it starts converting. Take your knowledge, try new things, test things. And I always like to say, as silly as it is, define your audience. Like, if you have to draw a picture of like a stick person on a piece of paper, do they wear hats? Do they have glasses? How old are they? Do they like jeans or skirts? Do they like Starbucks or camping? Or what is this person? Are they married? Are they divorced? And then give them a name. And then every time you make a video, this is Susie over here, and I'm talking to Susie.
Even just like you were saying, get that picture, put a picture up in front of you. Talk right to that person when you're recording your videos.
Yeah, give them a name, and that's who you're talking to. And over time, you're going to start finding your ideal audience, because they're going to match that, right?
Exactly. And then once you've mastered that process, you can always expand and add a second audience or a second offer, really one or the other. That was another thing I kind of learned the hard way. I was talking about this yesterday on one of the group coaching calls. I learn a lot of lessons the hard way just because of who I am. Except for business. Business, I like to learn from other people because those can be expensive lessons.
You're right.
But if it's just like a timing thing, like this affiliate offers that we were just talking about, when I first learned about affiliate marketing, I signed up for like 50 different products. I was like, I want to promote everything. I created this whole spreadsheet where I'm like categorizing it. These are the health offers. These are the whatever, like,
right.
And I made no money with that, $0 until I picked one offer that I wanted to go all in on and actually focus on promoting just that one product, highlighting the benefits, the features, everything that can be done with that product or that service. And then you start realizing the other things can kind of sell themselves on the back end. A lot of them can anyway. Just by having conversations with people, you'll have these little light bulb moments and you're like, oh, this person would be a good fit for that product. And then you can go and copy your link and send it to them.
Exactly. It's those second, third, fourth helpings that they've like talked about, right? But Yeah. What a story. What a journey. All right. There is one thing that I know some people will love to hear about because I know you have a channel. We won't even share what it is, but I want you to talk about creating content without your face.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So I do have a sort of mindset manifestation channel that's all faceless. And I've used a handful of different products to try and create better content for that. It was actually like faceless content is a lot harder. For me anyway. It takes so much more time to create something that's actually compelling.
It's so much harder. People don't realize. They're like, oh, I think it's going to be easier. It's not. It's a lot more work.
Nope. It's so much more time consuming to like go on and create a perfect video with the right clips and the right text and the right transitions instead of just picking up your phone and talking into it.
Right.
So it is something that I struggled a lot with in the beginning. It would take like an hour to do a 30-second video.
Right.
And obviously, the more you do it, the faster it gets, as long as you're not doing the shiny object syndrome thing and jumping from place to place to create new videos where you have a new learning curve on every piece of software.
Right, right. So how long have you had that channel? Have you
that one, almost a year.
Okay, so how do you feel like it gets engagement compared to ones that have a face and a voice and all of that behind it?
It's definitely more challenging. It doesn't grow. Well, it'll get views, right? So the engagement will be high, but the followers don't grow as quick as a channel with a face on it.
Right.
And I think that it all comes down to trust again, because there's so little trust left online nowadays. So we've all been scammed or know somebody else that was scammed, that we all have this natural level of skepticism. So if there's no face to it, we just, I don't know if it's like subconscious or what, but we all feel like it's easier to be tricked that way.
Right. It takes more work to get them to take action.
Right. Just to establish that rapport or trust or credibility. If you're not speaking or showing a face on those videos, it's definitely much more challenging to do. And you'll notice there are a lot of channels like that that have a lot of engagement or a lot of followers because the content can be intriguing, but it's not enough to push people to take out their credit cards.
Right.
You know, it's just entertainment. It doesn't cross over into that really like actual sales language.
Right. And then on the flip side, which you and I have both seen, people that do put their face out there, but they're only talking about the sale.
Right.
Buy from me, click here, buy from me, but they never share who they are.
And that's kind of the same issue where if you're too fixated on making that sale, you're not going to create any followers that way either, because nobody likes being sold to. I don't care who you are. None of us like being sold to. So if that's how it feels every time we're talking to you or every time we're looking at your content, nobody's going to follow you because they don't want more of that. You know, it might catch some people every once in a while just for like the clickbait side of it, but it's not going to create a tribe or a following or anything like that with people that actually know, like, or trust you.
I think what's important to remember is all of these platforms with organic marketing are social platforms. You gotta be social. You've got to be, which means you've got to be trying to make friends. You got to be trying.
What a foreign concept, being social on social media.
You have to be social, not salesy. And that's what's real. That's really the biggest disconnect in this process is learning how to do both.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. And that's really the easiest way to look at it, in my opinion, is just like making a recommendation. You know, if you go to a restaurant and you really enjoy the meal there, you'll go and tell your friends, hey, you guys got to try this food, but you're not trying to sell them a meal.
Right. And you're telling them why it was good. Oh, I love the sauce. It had this. It had, you know, these herbs with it. The sides were amazing. The mashed potatoes had extra gravy, right? It wasn't like, hey, go grab this meal at $17.99. why it was amazing, right?
The plate is 12 inches wide. The meal weighs 16 ounces. It cost me $17.99. Like these specific features of the meal. What we actually need is the story around it, you know, like the emotional side of it. Why was it delicious? Why do you recommend it?
My grandma, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
You got to add those connection pieces, right?
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I remember the meal my grandma made for me, right? It's just those little moments of being real with somebody.
Exactly. And it's really those kind of micro moments is sort of how I like to refer to it, because a lot of us think too big in the beginning. You know, maybe it's not just a matter of like, hey, you need to go to this restaurant because the atmosphere is nice or the meals are good or the service is good. If you tell them a specific story where you're like, hey, my waiter came over and he told us this joke while we were there and everybody was laughing their asses off, and it's the nicest waiter I've ever met. You need to go meet him yourself. You know, like that's a very specific story. It's a very specific circumstance. It's not just general knowledge about the restaurant.
Right.
But that's way more compelling, right?
I could sit here and say I wanted to sell P.F. Chang's. I could sit here and do a whole series about the waiter, Justin. Right?
Absolutely.
How he's given us free soup, how he threw in an extra drink, how he filled a meal for somebody else, and, you know, in a comedy, like there's these, I have all these stories from this guy, P.F. Chang's. And it just connects the viewer, the watcher, to the restaurant without selling the restaurant.
Right. It humanizes the experience.
Right. Yeah.
And it kind of pulls on our emotional strings too, which is what we ultimately need to do. That's another thing. No matter how emotional of a person you think you are or aren't, we all buy based off of emotion. Every single one of us. And then we justify it with logic after the fact.
Right. And if we can't justify it, then we feel like we get a little buyer's remorse.
Exactly. Exactly. And some of that depends on your focus too. It depends on what you're looking for, because our brain is this really a search engine. It's like a goal achieving machine. So if you're like, hey, show me ways that I can regret this decision, it'll be like, got it, here you go. But if you're just like, hey, show me why this was the best decision I could have made, then it's going to give you, it's almost like Chat GPT, right? You get what you ask for.
Yeah, definitely. All right. This has been amazing. If you came in late, I know a lot of people did. Definitely go back and watch the replay. But Drew, you can find Drew if you are a Blueprints member Monday through Friday, any of our live calls. He is also our Marketers Club coach that meets on Mondays that you can hop in live there. Every week he does a little teaching and a little Q&A, plus all the recordings. You have access to that there. And then, of course, you can book one-on-one calls, and that goes for anyone can book those. You don't have to be a Blueprints member. Anyone can book those one-on-one. They are a paid service that you would get involved in. But Drew's been with us for a few years now. He's not going anywhere. We love having him a part of our legendary community. And thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad it worked out for us too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great Wednesday. Tomorrow we have a special guest. I have to stress this. Her name is Krista. She is a online parenting declutter coach. So she's not she's not an affiliate for Legendary, but she does a lot of things online. Has 59,000 followers. Just amazing story. Definitely be on tomorrow to watch Dave and her and just see other ways your skills can be put to work. So have a great day, everyone. And as always, stay legendary. Bye.